You know, it's a good thing that this budget is in public domain. As you rightly said, it means that almost everyone can scrutinize it, you know, go through the line items and see what has been earmarked for what. But, you know, it does raise certain questions, because you say that this most likely would have passed without anybody noticing. Are we then saying that the National Assembly members wouldn't have done something about it like they're doing now? Because they had already promised that they were not going to, it was not going to be business as usual. They were going to be more critical this time than ever before.
Well, I like to judge people on their antecedents. I mean, and this is not trying to castigate the capability of National Assembly, but if you ask me, over the years, National Assembly has conducted itself in such a way that one cannot be too confident about what they will do and what they will not do. You know, we've had allegations of civil servants trying to bribe National Assembly committee members to pass their budget. So and most of the people in the National Assembly today are also returnee senators or returnee House of Assembly members. So if they had passed the budget in the past, because like I said, the previous budgets were as flawed as this. The only difference with this is that the proposal, the money has been inflated astronomically. So if they have passed those budgets in the past without stopping them, we wouldn't wait to see if they will do or not. I'm sure the reason they are saying that they are looking at this closely is because I've done my story, people are tweeting about it, and it's become obvious that this budget is flawed. So, I mean, it would be like a total disgrace for them if they pass the budget, irrespective of what everybody is saying about it. So I think that's the reason they are coming and say, oh, we have to look at it more closely. If you remember, this budget has passed the second reading at both Senate and House of Assembly. So it's almost been passed. Almost. So, I mean...
So when we talk about cars for the National Assembly members, it would seem that even the presidency was also looking to getting more cars. You put this, you said exotic cars, and that's about some amount of money there, plus houseboats.
Yeah, okay, fine. The houseboat one comes under the Ministry of Defense. You know, we're talking at a time when the army is fighting a very, very deadly insurgency in the northeast. And what the Ministry of Defense did was they budgeted 700 million naira for the construction of hospitals, military hospitals. But they budgeted 1.4 billion naira for a houseboat. What is a houseboat? A houseboat is like a floating resort where officers and top officers of the army goes to lounge. You know, so what is the priority? You're building a houseboat, a floating resort for, top generals and all that to lounge, and you are spending 700 million naira to build hospital when we have hundreds of soldiers that have been maimed for life, that need medical attention. Some of them have been flown out of the country to get proper medical attention. What are we building the houseboat for? A houseboat is not even a weaponized boat.
So you didn't make anything, because we do know that when this budget was submitted, shortly after, some figures began to fly online in terms of how, in terms of what was allocated to the president's kitchen, for instance. And then shortly after, we did see senators of the PDP saying that they were not going to let the budget is actually a fraud. I think I remember Senator Einaya Abaribe speaking very categorically on what he thought of the budget, and he spoke in very strong terms. You didn't think that, even with the opposition in the Senate, that this was going to go through any scrutiny? You didn't have the confidence?
I really don't have the confidence, because it would just be put to a voice vote. And if you also observe what is happening in the House, the National Assembly, is that because of politics, people have refused to look at the issues, and the politics is for them, politics is more important than some of the important issues that have come to the House. So it has just been put to, the team would have just been put to a voice vote, and the ayes would have just have it, and just, like I said, this budget has gone through the second reading.
So what do we make of the scrutiny now? I mean, because we see that over and over again, we're seeing, different committees sitting down and asking people, ministers and what have you, heads of departments and agencies, to come and defend their budget. You don't think that line by line scrutiny might actually help at the end of the day?
This is not the first time ministers will be called to come and defend their budget. They've always done it. I mean, since 1999, ministers have been called to come and defend the line budget, and budget has done. And this, because this template, this budget, 2016 budget, it's a template that has been used by the PDP government over the years.
Do you have an idea of how budgets are prepared? Have you ever prepared a budget before? Because we're trying to look at this to see if there's something you don't get quite right in your investigation. Or first, from Marcus' question, what would have been the next question for me is, if this had any kind of padding or fraud, I don't think the presidency would have asked that it be uploaded for everyone to have a look at it.
Okay, now, the funny thing about it is that it is very obvious that the president himself, and top-ranking member of the presidency, had not read this budget before they passed it to the National Assembly. They did not read it. It's very obvious, because I want to believe that someone like Buhari, I did this because I'm saying
You're very sure of that? Because I'm looking at the caliber of persons in the cabinet of the presidents.
Okay, if they have read it, can you imagine that the minister is saying that, oh, this is not the budget, that the Minister of Health saying this is not the budget that we prepared, that we prepared? You understand? I strongly believe, and I strongly believe that they did not take that, because if you look at the budget, it's like 2,000 and something pages of, PDF. You go through every line budget. It took me 2 weeks to even do what I've done, and I'm just even scratching the face of it. I didn't even touch some of the MDAs and some of the ministries. So it will take, what I think they should have done is this, because the Federal Executive Council passed this budget. There should be an oversight, because from my understanding, the way the budget is created is that civil servants from the MDAs are asked to prepare the budget, and they push it to the ministry, and the ministry push it to the presidency. I think there should have been a committee, a technical committee, to, when this thing when it's submitted, to go through everything, to look at it, and to review it before it gets to effect. So even if now the presidency is even embarrassed by this budget, because they have come out to say that, oh, some of the things are typographical errors and all that. Can you imagine if they looked at the budget like you suggested, they would have seen the typographical errors. If you look at it, that some of the items were repeated over and over.
But
it's a good thing that
have you prepared the budget before? I'm trying to
not on this scale. This is not on this. Of course, you prepare a budget, everything. You have a little office. At the office, we need to buy stuff. I have to prepare a budget, send it to my managing editor to look at it and say, oh, do we need to get this? This is what we want to get. I'm in Lagos. We run the Lagos office. So the budget is also prepared monthly for some of the things that we need to buy.
Sulaiman took that question right out of my mouth in terms of whether or not we bother about the process of preparing the budget, because we also recall that this administration claimed that they were going to discard the envelope system and start a zero budgeting system, which meant that everything had to be budgeted right from scratch, instead of a system whereby you just had the envelope and then you padded whatever it was that was there. You already know what it is that you usually have, and then you just add on. So it begins to call to question whether any zero budgeting system was employed in this 2016 appropriation bill, especially since we're told that that's what, if it was just a copy and paste from 2015 to 2016 and then added on some figures or some extra lines here and there, then we have to ask serious questions.
I think the whole talk about zero-based budget is mere sound bites, and that's what I think, because you need to just pick the 2015 and 2014 budget and place it side by side with the 2016 budget, and it's obvious even to a 3-year-old that this is copy and paste. So the only thing that is zero-based about this budget is the addition of extra zeros to some of these figures. That's the only thing that is zero-based about. So the base of the zero has just been extended.
When you say, you describe it as a collection of fraudulent and frivolous figures in here, what do you expect after your publication?
We're happy that, first, the government is very embarrassed by what we have done so far. They are very embarrassed. They have come out to say that, we have errors here. Somebody from the presidency said, there's a budget mafia which job it is to pad some of this figure, and something is being done to identify this mafia and punish them. They describe them as top bureaucrats. You get that. So they themselves know that this budget is deeply flawed. You know, they themselves know, and we are beginning to see that the National Assembly has now said that they are taking out the deadline of passing this budget. So that means that there is no longer deadline. At the time they said we were going to pass it sometime in the middle of February. Now there's no deadline. That means that because of what we have done, because of what ordinary Nigerians have done, they are going to look at this budget more closely and make sure that some of these frivolous items, for instance, the National Troop of Nigeria is budgeting 140 million naira for computers, and there is not a kobo budgeted for drums, for costumes, for what is the National Troop doing with they actually have more budget to their name than the Ministry of Science and Technology.
Should we say they're creating virtual costumes, perhaps?
Well, clearly, a lot needs to be done in terms of the process, you know, that we prepare the budgets. But if this one is copy and paste, comparing both budgets leaves a lot to be decided. But thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Nicholas Ibekwe is the Deputy Head Investigative Desk of Premium Times. Time for the headlines, and Waldo is on standby to bring us that one, and you'll get to say how soon.